a decline in the country. But this attack is indeed a wake-up call. Because we are given to understand here at CNN News 18 that basic SOPs like having an advanced party, not taking the same route while returning, these were not followed. Were these Jawans sitting ducks?
This giant crater in the middle of the road is proof of just how deadly the Naxal attack in Chhattisgarh's Dantewada was. 10 policemen and their driver were killed when their minivan was blown up by an improvised explosive device.
बताया जाता है कि आज सुबह डीआरजी के जवान इसी इलाके के गश्त पे थे और सुबह जो है माओवादियों के साथ एक मुठभेड़ भी हुई थी, ऐसी सूचना मिल रही है। और फिलहाल जो है माओवादियों ने एक बड़े घात को अंजाम देते हुए जो है एक आईडी ब्लास्ट की है, जिसमें जवान शहीद हो गए हैं।
The policemen belonged to the District Reserve Guard. They were trained to combat Naxals and were in fact returning from an anti-Naxal operation. The team was returning in a vehicle to their headquarters when an IED planted on the road exploded.
अतिरिक्त रिइंफोर्समेंट पार्टी सीआरपीएफ डीआरजी घटनास्थल पहुंच गई है। अभी घटनास्थल से सभी शहीदों का बॉडी को इवैक्यूएशन का कार्रवाई की जा रही है। स्पॉट में सीनियर ऑफिसर्स का भी अभी पहुंच गए हैं। अभी लगातार सर्चिंग अभियान जारी है और घटनास्थल की जो निरीक्षण के पश्चात और संपूर्ण विवरण प्राप्त हो सके।
Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel vowed to continue fighting red terror.
जो ये लड़ाई है वो अंतिम दौर पे चल रहा है और नक्सलियों को किसी सूरत में छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा।
This is the second big Naxal attack in Chhattisgarh this year. In February, 3 security personnel were killed during an encounter with Naxals in Sukma district. So is it the return of red terror in Chhattisgarh?
So did the Reserve Guard, District Reserve Guard, walk into a trap with the intel about Naxal presence or Maoist presence? One big lapse is that they used the same road twice for going up and down, thereby opening themselves up not just for monitoring by the Maoists but also being targeted directly. They also travelled in a vehicle despite the SOP clearly stating that this should be avoided because they can be trapped. In fact, the SOP is to walk during operations and take a different route while coming back. Also, a team of only 10 District Reserve Guard or DRG personnel were involved in an anti-Maoist operation. That's too small a team for conducting an operation. And even then, no reinforcement was sought after contact was made with the Naxals. So could these lives have been saved? Were they sitting ducks? Let's go straight across to T.S. Singh Devji, Cabinet Minister, Chhattisgarh, joining us. Namaste. Thank you for speaking with us here at CNN News 18. My first question to you, Mr. Dev, were these DRG personnel as good as sitting ducks? Only 10 of them deployed for an anti-Naxal operation.
Not really. As far as I know, though I'm not in Raipur, I'm not in Chhattisgarh today. I'm in Bhopal with my family. But the information that has come in that this blast took place at about 12:45 in the afternoon. After the group was returning from a exchange of fire with the Naxalites. There's about 45 kilometers south of Dantewada, which is the district headquarters. And it was a convoy of vehicles. This was not a single vehicle. There's not just 10 people. There were 10 people in the civilian vehicle, of course camouflaged, who were affected by the IED blast and who were martyred. 10 police personnel and 1 driver, civilian driver. All local boys, all district force boys, I think. All of them were tribal boys. And Yadav, I think, was the driver. So we lost these 11 people today, very sadly.
But these personnel were travelling in a vehicle instead of going on foot, Mr. Dev. They used the same route twice, which is again not the SOP. So why were the standard operating procedures not followed?
I am really not aware of the geographical terrain there. Were there other routes available? Were they not available? I am frankly not aware of that. And there are suggestions given in these SOPs that you could take another route, etc. But if there is one road going in and one road going out, you don't have an option. I am frankly not aware of that, so I cannot really speak authoritatively on that. And Uh, this is a tar road they were traveling on, a road which was tarred about 4-5 years back. They had gone by this route and they were returning by this route, which is true. And they could have used bikes, they could have been on foot, but any number of other operations in a similar fashion may not have met this sad fate today. But there has been loss of life today. They would be looking into the matter and trying to see whether there was any slip-up.
It on the face of it looks like there were slip-ups because the SOPs were not followed. But Mr. Dev, with whom does the buck stop over today's incident? Who's responsible for 10 lives lost?
Everyone. Nobody can really shirk responsibility, bottom up, top down. Everybody is involved in the entire process of management and governance. So you cannot really put the buck on any one person. It is a system that we function in. The central government forces are there, their intelligence is there, the state government forces are there, their intelligence is there, government is there, administration is there, the police forces are there. So it's not any one person, but whenever a tragedy takes place, it is best to face up together. And if there is a matter of responsibility, not put it on anybody else's shoulder. Everybody, all of us must take the responsibility.
It's 11 lives lost, 10 Jawans and the driver. Someone has to be accountable. According to data provided by the CRPF earlier this year, incidents of violent Maoist attacks in Chhattisgarh dropped by 77% in 2022 compared to 2010. But the incidents of killings were increasing. Is the Chhattisgarh government ready for a return of red terror?
See, they are there. Nobody is denying that Naxalites are not present. When the state of Chhattisgarh was formed, we had, let us say, 5 battalions of paramilitary forces. Today, we have probably more than 60. We are aware that a large area has been sort of cleared or taken under control, though Naxalites could be just about anywhere. They could be in Delhi, they could be in Bhopal, they could be in Raipur, they could be in any city. They are not limited to any one track. But where the activities could have been seen as unchecked, those areas have been fairly limited now. And last, I talked to senior police officials while I was in Jagdalpur. They mentioned an area of, let us say, 40 by 100 kilometers that needed to be taken care of further. So it's a very difficult task, very difficult terrain, almost uninhabited, very difficult to deal with it, undulating, forests and jungles and streams. Many of the areas are unapproachable. And in that, it is a process where gradually things are moving towards greater control of the state machinery. It's not as if they have the run of the ground, they can do whatever they want. It is not quite like that. Things have improved, but we need to go much further ahead where Naxal activity or their presence is eliminated. So we are a little distant still from there.
Mr. Tir Singh Dev, thank you for speaking with us and making the time here at CNN News 18. But there, like you said, there is a lot more that needs to be done. Ladies and gentlemen, the reality is that they need to get it right only once. Our security forces and the establishment has to get it right every single time. And another aspect, it's not at the line of control. It's not in Jammu and Kashmir. It's not at the line of actual control or LAC. It's not in the northeast. It's in these jungles. It's to red terror that we are losing the maximum number of soldiers, our Jawans, our personnel. Now, shouldn't there be a stop to this? The big question. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former DG Infantry with us, Major General Dhruv Katoch, Director India Foundation, and PK Mishraji, former ADG BSF with us. Namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. It tears your heart to talk on the fact that we've lost 11 lives. We've lost people in the line of duty who are doing their jobs. But were they sitting ducks? Were they sitting ducks, PK Mishraji?
Yes, I can well tell you, definitely they were sitting ducks. You were just telling about violation of SOP. Of course, mistakes do happen, but mistakes have happened in Chhattisgarh several times. We have lost more than 150 Jawans only in Chhattisgarh. It may be Sukma, it may be Chittagopha, it may be Narayanpur, it may be Kanker, or it may be Bijapur. I have gone to this Jaram Ghati and Darba Ghati after both the incidents where Bichi Shukla was injured and that incident, and how they retreated to Malkangiri through Tulsi Dogri. Those areas also I have seen. Somebody who has gone to Bastar, then only they will come to know how difficult it is to control Bastar area.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for even one corps of army to control Bastar area. Definitely, development is taking place. But you cannot, like the state is telling, it's a law and order problem definitely of the state. But Naxalite problem, yes, it is not alone the law and order it is not a law and order problem, and it is not only with the state. Definitely it is a coordinating affair of both state and center and the intelligence group. They will act together. But the leading role should be taken by Chhattisgarh police itself. Like Punjab police, they took the leading role for wiping out the Khalistani commandos and everything, and Punjab it became quiet. So the same thing has to be done here. CPMMs are there in addition to them. The IRB battalions have to be trained. The local boys who are taken to DRGs, of course the DRGs who are local boys. But what about the training? We have got a training center in Kanker from army, and I hope Chhattisgarh police, they can be well trained in Kanker, and they have to come to the expectation.
See,
like Andhra and
cannot
Telangana,
drop your guard.
they have done through Greyhound.
One cannot drop their guard at all. The greyhounds are an example. They're but every time there is a slip up, there is carelessness, there is loss of lives. And Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, PK Mishra ji, Dhruv Katoji, you are all veterans. You've handled explosives, especially, and you know how much explosive is required to get to blow up a road that is more than 10 feet wide, and to blow a hole in that road which is more than 3.5 to 4 feet deep. So Lieutenant General Kulkarni, for somebody to be able to sow that kind of explosives and plant them on that road, which is a tarred road. If you see the road, it's a tarred road on either side, but look at that crater. That's a lot of explosive that has been planted there.
Yeah.
5 feet deep crater is what we are given to understand. General Kulkarni.
You know, what has happened is extremely sad. Something which is avoidable, because we have to have actionable end. Much that everything has been done at all levels. It's very easy to blame so-and-so should have done this, so-and-so. What happens is the people on the ground, the boys who are there, maybe the DRG, which are the local tribals as have been brought out, who have been trained or not trained or partially trained into this kind of thing. A kind of complacency sets in. And even last time, if I recollect it, in 2010 or something, when in April, when we lost about 75, when they returned back from operations, this is what happened. We have, until and unless we have good intelligence coming in, we have to have our eyes and ears everywhere. Human in, technical in, kind of mobile towers that are required to be there. The terrain is extremely, totally jungle. It's not easy. One understands it's not easy. That's the reason one has been there. But notwithstanding that, you find a lot has been done. At a point of time, there were 140 districts affected. They came down to 76. And now that we are just about 46 districts. And who is responsible for most of the 95% of the death, and 90% of all of it is CPI Maoists. These are the people who are involved into it. So it is a very small fraction, and we have to keep a tag of it. Much that the CPI Maoists have been banned. But notwithstanding that, it's failure of intelligence, because such an explosive, Anand, you're absolutely right. It can't be put in just overnight. It was either already there when the road was constructed, like it used to happen in LTTE time, that it used to be there. There are kind of small tunnels. All that one had to do is just push in the explosive and then let it go at a time when of your choosing. One has to be very careful.
No, but if the road was laid and if these explosives were already there, it's tarred road. It's not even kacha rasta, General Dhruv Katoch. The fact is that and nearly 100 kilograms of explosive would be required to try and blow a hole that much on a tarred road. So clearly that road had been leveled. It had a bit of a height. It had some hedging on the other side. You can see the road very clearly, both sides. ये जैसे two-lane road जैसा होता है in the interiors. That's how it is. It's motorable road, proper motorable road, but it's been blown up to pieces. How could they not know? And for an operation, would you ever take only 10 people?
Anand, there are 2 points, and I would like to address both of them very, very clearly based on my own experience. One, it is my opinion that these explosives were laid not today or yesterday or day before yesterday. They were laid when the road was being built, right? And that is why they placed a huge quantity of explosives. Today, if you have to blast a road, blast a vehicle, you'll just take 5 kgs of explosives or maybe less, right? Now here, this was minimum 50 kgs, if not 100 kgs of explosives. So I think it has been there in the ground for a very, very long time, which makes detection practically impossible. That is one.
So you're saying the same thing as General Kulkarni, and please enlighten me. जब वो सड़क बना रहे थे उनको पता नहीं लगा, because there is a certain amount of digging. There is a pressure bomb. Clearly, it's exploded to pressure.
No. This is not a pressure bomb. Please take it from me. You know, all that you have to do is, they place these explosives, there are detonators there, and then there are 2 wires which come out, right? Those wires are the only ones which are outside the ground. So at a point of time, like in this particular case, when the explosives, when it had to be blasted off, you could have had just one person, a man, a woman, a child. Anybody could have done this, and sitting about 50 yards away. So he's got a small battery with him. He connects the 2. The charge is completed, and he will do it. He will just connect the 2 points just when the vehicle is going over the culvert or the culvert or wherever this, the place where the blast took place. I've seen this time and time again. I've spent 2 years in Sri Lanka. Every time we used to go over the culvert, well, this used to be the problem. We didn't know whether the blast will take place or not. No. And you can't search every single man on the road. The time and space-wise, it doesn't happen. This is a challenge which we have to face time and time again.
No, thank you.
Number 2,
thank you for enlightening, because this is something which my understanding was that if you are building a road, you would know clearly if there is explosive there, and it would explode because you will have road rollers, you will have heavy machinery there, and if it was going to be responding to pressure, it would have. But you are saying that they could just leave it there, leave those loose ends of the wire lying there, and at time of their choosing, they could just decide to connect the charges.
They're not operating on pressure switches, right? So this is not a pressure switch type of job. This is a different type of job. And it was very, very common with the LTT in Sri Lanka. I've seen that. I've also seen it in J&K. Half my life I have spent with these people. So that is one. Number 2, 10 people. I am a very firm believer in small scale operations. 10 people is the right size, if not even less. 8 people, 9 people. Don't go in for big jobs, because if you have too many people on the ground moving around, they are going to get hit and hit very badly. It is simply the operating methodology which I would like to challenge, because you have to do these operations in a totally different type of way. Correct. That means you go into an area which you suspect to be where the Maoists will move, right? You go there, occupied by night, and keep it under observation for the next 72 hours. These are difficult operations, but you lie in ambush for them. And when they expose themselves, you get them. Now, that is the way to operate. It is very, very difficult, but that is the way. Number 3, any time when I've heard of these casualties taking place, I'm sorry to say, where I ask one question: where is the officer leadership? Where is the battalion commander? Where are the company commanders? Where is the DIG? Where is the IG? Now you have all the senior officers sitting in the capital city, right? There's nobody on the ground. You have to change that. The IG and the DIG and the commanding officers must operate on the ground with the men.
This is something which I have recently, to my limited understanding and knowledge, recently in the military operations or the army operations in J&K, I've seen the CO get into the thick of the action. CO leading from the front and CO not waiting back at the barracks or waiting at the base, but actually there in the middle of the operation and leading the operation. And this question, Dhruv Katochji, has been asked multiple times, especially these red terror attacks, ki where are the senior officers? Where is the senior and under whose leadership does this party go, and what was the level of understanding of this person, whoever was leading these 10 Jawans and in that vehicle. General Kulkarni, so thank you, General Dhruv Katoj and General Kulkarni. You had this point. Before I go back to PK Mishra ji, General Kulkarni, so what was not followed? Because one of the SOPs we are given to understand that was learned is ki same raste se wapas kabhi nahi aana. Second is don't use a vehicle. Use smaller rides or get on foot. Ji.
Ultimately, what happens is it's complacency. And at the lowest level, it's complacency because you're returning. And because you're returning, you just go gung-ho. And this is exactly what happens. They know, they've been observing what you just said. Rightly you said, we have to get it right at all times. They have to get it right just once. And they've been observing it. And this is exactly what happens. You have to have concerted effort to ensure SOPs have to be followed, irrespective whether you're going into operations or returning from operations. As soon as there is complacency, just because we seem to feel that we've been able to control it, is what happens. We have to be very careful, vigilance, and vigilance, irrespective of the human end, the technical end coming in. We know that that area is infested with it. We have to be very, very careful. And I can only pray that such incidents for lack of it, for our own complacency must not occur. I'm sure investigations will reveal what exactly happened.
Ji, but PK Mishra ji, some of the other things, all right, let's say that this party, this DRG was a little careless. This DRG did not follow the standard operating procedure. This DRG took it a little lightly and did not have a senior officer on ground. All of this is subject to confirmation. I'm just making a hypothesis. But there are the counter questions too. Yeah. Who are these Maoists or elements who are watching this group? How did they know that they are going to come back from the same route? Then this group obviously knew that their explosives have been placed on this road. And if it's been lying, if you were to take what General Dhruv Katoj and also General Kulkarni are saying, ye pehle se wahan laga ke rakha, chhod ke gaye the. So how did these people know? So that means there is an effective communication mechanism which is happening in this belt. That means there is a very active group which is not only amassing explosives, it has already planted these explosives. Its cadre know the locations and they also are monitoring the movement of the troops.
Very correct. You have asked a beautiful question. I have listened to both the generals. I can well tell you, I have spoken to CRPF on the ground today itself. I came to know that it's a very small group of DRG group of 10 persons driven by a civil driver. They have gone in civil dress, in a civil vehicle, DRG civil vehicle, and in civil dress. They had the information of a vehicle being burnt by militants, by Naxalites in that area. So they have gone for the operation. But I can well tell you there is definitely a leakage of information. I will tell you the information and intelligence doesn't come from locals to police or locals to we people operating in that area. It is otherwise because of the pressure and force they are putting in tribal belt that the people by fear, they give more intelligence of our operation to the Naxalites. And I will tell you in this case, I have already checked into all the points. It was one impromptu, I repeat, it is one impromptu IED, improvised explosive device. It was laid after they went to the operation and they were supposed to return. They knew that they have gone in civil dress and they have gone in this vehicle and they will be returning. And the worst part of it, if somebody has gone to Bastar, they will come to know how Bastar is. What about the forest in Bastar? How difficult it is to operate in Bastar and how difficult to go inside. So 10 persons going inside, even if you kill 10 Naxalites also, you will be totally wiped out. It's not possible for 10 persons to go for an operation in anti-Naxal operation in Bastar area. I don't know how the commander has sent 10 DRG boys. By the way, even if they have gone also, they have returned on the same route using the same vehicle, and that was not correct. And of course, they were in civil dress. But information has leaked out, and it was there. It was laid an impromptu IED, which was laid on the return. And they were there. They planned in much better way. They had the intelligence that this party has gone, and we have to learn from our mistakes. mistakes have happened several times in Chittagufa and Dharmatalas was also in Kanker. All these areas, we have lost more than 200 of our jawans there.
But
yes.
PK Mishra ji, if I were to take what you are revealing here, you are saying you have spoken to the CRPF on ground, and this is special information. Information you are saying that these DRG actually went in civil dress in a vehicle. So they were not in uniform, they went in civil dress.
Yeah.
You are saying there was an intel leak. Somebody informed these terrorists, these Maoists, that there is a civil dressed party DRG group which has gone in a vehicle. My question to you is, sir, if you were to say that this is an impromptu laid device, improvised explosive device that's been placed after this party went, this group went, you see the size of the explosive, 100 kilogram ka, 50 kilogram se upar ka explosive, how could they keep and how could it not be noticed? Some questions that come to my mind is, ये tar road था, कच्ची सड़क होती है, मैं मानता कि साइड में कहीं खड्डा खोद के आपने उसको भर दिया या फिर आपने इसको कर दिया, but this is a proper tarred road. How could they have kept this? And
absolutely,
again, this relaying of information कि ये गए ऐसी जगह गए कहाँ थे कि जहाँ पर इसी सड़क से इनको वापस आना था, how did they know?
Definitely, because there is a leakage of information in this case, and you see this particular the distance covered from the place of their camp to that place and return. It's about 15 to 20 kilometers, and they have to return on the same road. It was known, and the vehicle was also known, and that is how they made the ambush, and they planted the ID. ID was, you see, I have seen ID planted, 32 kgs of ID was planted on main road in Srinagar several times. There is no problem of laying the IDs up to 50 kgs in 1 hour or in 1.5 hours. There is no problem at all. It's very easy to put it and to have, yes, you can have remote control device. Like General was telling, from a distance, in a remote control device you can activate it, or it can be a pressure switch. You can do it well sitting slightly away. Anybody can do it, but you can switch it on, and a remote control device you can switch it. So this is what has happened. The SOP has not been followed, and the drones. We have a lot of drones which were given to Chhattisgarh police for to be used for anti-Naxal operations, and it was an anti-Naxal operation, and the drones were not used. What for the drones were given to them? It is just that, okay, we will see that it is going down. So many percentages have gone down, but you see, we have lost our 10 jawans for nothing.
I agree. Net, what stands out is whichever is the information, whether it was a pre-laid IED or a spot-laid IED, these people went there. They let their guard down. That's what stands out, that they didn't follow basic security protocol. Did they use all the information and all the equipment at their wherewithal? Could they have been a little more careful? But larger thing is this network of these elements, these Naxalis, these Maoist elements is still there, and that should raise the alarm bells that this needs to be wiped out. If they are coordinating an attack so fast within a limited period of time and information is being spread, then this network has to be nipped. This network has to be culled. That's important. Thank you, gentlemen, for your thoughts and for joining us here on Brass Tacks as we express our condolences to the families who've lost their loved ones, 10 jawans and the driver that have been consumed by an act of red terror. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, we shift the spotlight towards Karnataka, the elections, and Yogi Adityanath has now stepped in as the star campaigner, and he's already blazing a trail.
ಶ್ರೀ ಯೋಗಿ ಆದಿತ್ಯನಾಥ ಜಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅಖಂಡ ಭಾರತದ ಕಲ್ಪನೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ तुष्टीकरण करने का कार्य करती है, उन्हें धर्म के आधार पर रिजर्वेशन देने का कार्य करती है।
3.5 सालों से जो सरकार कर्नाटका में आई है, उसने हर स्तर पर आपका विश्वास तोड़ा है। पैसों से विधायकों को खरीदा गया, कांग्रेस और जेडीयू की सरकार को तोड़ के बनाया।
time people are already decided to choose JDS. BJP and Congress behavior in between them. People have discussed about their attitudes.
The fight becoming about reservation versus corruption, but adding fuel to the fire over quotas. Former Chief Minister Siddaramaiah saying the Congress party is committed to increasing the reservation limit from 50% to 75%. Even as the BJP is saying it is going to do away with the Muslim quotas. And they are saying they will increase reservation to all caste based on their population. So this is the big caste promise that has come from Siddaramaiah. He's tweeted about this. And is this going to further churn this entire pot? That's what we're going to ask as we go across to our panelists this evening. Ashok Gowda of the Karnataka BJP. We should be joined by George Kurian and T.R. Prasad Gowda in just a bit. But Nalin Mehta, Group Consulting Editor of Network 18, also with us. Ashok ji, namaste. Nalin, namaste. Namaskara, namaskara. Wow. So now quota plus more quota. Every caste, everybody will get quota. That's what Siddaramaiah is saying. You are turning around and saying no quota to Muslims.
Yes, we are bound by it, because see, whatever had happened unconstitutionally in 1986 and as well as in 1995, so it had to be removed, and we are going to remove it.
But if Mr. Siddaramaiah is saying 75% quota, based on your caste and based on your grouping quota. So again, once again, then they will turn around and say, let's do a caste-based census.
Yeah. Kantraj Commission, which was set up by Siddaramaiah, basically targeted Vokkaligas and Lingaites, which form around 17% Vokkaligas and 19% Lingaites in Karnataka state. And he had grouped these groups into small groups, and he had given saying that our population is only 60 lakhs, which was very laughable.
So, why are you sounding a little nervous today, Ashok Gowda ji, especially after this tweet? Is this going to twist this entire narrative for the BJP on ground? Are people going to lap up this entire caste quota thing, Ashok ji?
Yeah, see, caste quota, Siddaramaiah is not understanding whichever caste will be listed as OBC, which as per the census and as per the direction of BP Mandal Commission, all other states had set up their own committees headed by the former justice or anybody else, and they have given the report. Very clearly report has been given, and which are the forward caste and which are the backward caste and the most backward caste. And Siddaramaiah, in spite of knowing the facts of how in 1977 Devaraj Arasu had added few of the Muslim castes, which are the sects of Muslims who actually deserve the OBC status, were already added in 1A and 2A. 16 of them, 9 of them in 1A and 7 of them in 2A, which are already added. And in 1A, there is no economical criteria at all. And in spite of that, then the Janata Party government and Janata Dala government increased the Muslim quota, not just increased, kept a separate Muslim quota in 2B category, which was absolutely unconstitutional. And nobody actually, only for the appeasement purpose, nobody even thought about it. And we have removed it, and we are bound by, as per the Constitution of India, which are the OBC castes, and all the OBC castes will definitely get their proposition of reservation.
So net, is this the net takeout? T.R. Prasad Gowda of the JDS is also with us, but Nalin Mehta, is this the takeout in Karnataka? That development, Sushasan, law and order, all of that doesn't matter. Caste is what matters. So comes back to the same aspect, irrespective of everybody saying, let's go towards meritocracy, let's go towards just the caste or the reservations for haves and have-nots. So it's the have-nots who will be there, economically weaker section. All of that gets tossed out of the window. Vokkaliga, Kuruba, Lingayat, all of that will work now.
So Anand, I think in Karnataka, we have seen in election after election, especially in state assembly election, not in the national election. Since 2004, this has not been the case in the national elections, but certainly in state assembly elections in Karnataka. The caste matrix has been at the very center stage of the political chessboard, whether it's Lingayats for the BJP or Vokkaligas for the JDS in the old Mysore region, or what Siddaramaiah has tried in the past with Ahinda, which was first created by Basavaraj Woods, or trying to revive that coalition. So the caste matrix does matter. This whole gambit, which we are seeing now by the BJP, which started with removing the 4% reservation and then adding two groups to it, which got stuck in the Supreme Court. The government then said that they're going to put it on hold. This is essentially signaling that we are removing we are removing the minority community from that. Now, fundamentally, outside of this reservation, in Karnataka, there are about 10 categories of Muslims who already have reservation as OBCs. In Gujarat, for example, there are 20 categories of Muslims, including Telis, who also have reservation. So I think what the BJP is saying is, outside of the OBC or the SC reservation, outside of that, if there's going to be reservation for Muslims, we are not going to have that, and we're going to give it to other groups. The problem with that argument is that the same argument why the Supreme Court opposed, for example, Marathas in reservation of Marathas in Maharashtra, that Vokkaligas or Lingayats, if you give reservation to them, which are dominant castes in Karnataka, it opens up another can of worms, and it's a very contentious debate.
But there is also this dynamic, as Mr. T.R. Prasad Gowda joins us. Mr. T.R. Prasad Gowda, where do you stand on this? Should now the discourse move towards, by George Korean is also with us, should the discourse be, it doesn't matter if you are Vokkaliga, Lingayat, what matters is if you are Vokkaliga, Lingayat, how do you identify yourself? Kuruba, Ahinda, how do you identify yourself, irrespective of which religion you practice? Is that where you're trying to take the narrative to now? You may identify as a Vokkaliga, but you may practice Islam. You may identify yourself as a Lingayat, but you may have already changed your preferences and no longer follow Basavana, but you will follow Christianity. Is that where you're trying to take the narrative?
Sir, it is very unfortunate. According to me, it is very unfortunate. This time, during this technological period, and country is growing like anything, and we are competing with the main countries across the world. Now, when you talk about the caste system, and to go before the public and asking votes in terms of our caste, it is better if we practice. We have done so much of work for the upliftment of the poor. We have done so much of work for the state of Karnataka, or to the world, or to the country. One need to identify in that angle. One need to be mosque leader.
So you're taking a nice moral platform, but Mr. T.R. Prasad Gowda, are you for the caste reservation in Karnataka, or if the JDS comes to power, you'll do away with all sorts of reservation?
No. I will come to my party stand. But in general, I'm just narrating where we are going, where we are going to
where we are going, one should just keep it very simple. If you are economically poor, you get reservation. Otherwise, you don't get reservation. You get admitted on the basis of merit, not on the basis of your caste identity.
Yes.
Secondly, yeah. Caste no longer is a bane for the Hindu way of life. If Telis can be Muslims, then casteism is there everywhere.
No, that's what I'm trying to.
If Kurubas can be Christians, Kurubas can be Muslims, Kurubas can be Hindus. So then caste is everywhere. Every section, every segment of society is casteist. Why should you look at it as Muslim quota? Then you will look at Muslims and what kind of groupings they are in. Sectarian caste, etc. Christians also, sectarian caste, etc. Why say Dalit Sikhs, Dalit Muslims, Dalit Christians? That means there is casteism everywhere. So then you should say we'll do away with caste.
Subcaste will be there. Yeah. See, that's what I'm trying to explain you.
asking votes in terms of caste may be an unfortunate fact that we are facing, but we have to accept the fact now. To gain the power, we are going in this way only, and people also look at Vokkaligas, Kurubas, or Lingais that way. Now this election, especially this election, projected in
Tell
such
me
a
one
way,
election where you
I
have
do
not looked
know
at it. Dear Prasad Gowda ji, it is very nice to talk at taking a high moral stance and talk utopian, etc. Let's talk real. Tell me one election in Karnataka where caste has not played a dynamic, and the JDS has not played caste politics, and the JDS has not increased caste quotas if when it has come into power.
Sir, actually, we are the JDS people. Whenever Kumaraswamy was in power, whenever Dantewada ji was in power, he always instead of looking at our caste, he helped other people who are in who are in distress, like Dalits, and he helped the OBCs.
How can you say, sir? How can you say that Dalits are in distress? There are many Dalits who are doing very, very well in life. But there are a lot of Brahmins. There are a lot of Brahmins. There are a lot of Kurubas. There are a lot of people in life who are not doing well. It's not because of their caste. It's because where they are economically in life. It's a simple It's a simple equation. But to very nicely turn around and say, oh, we help Dalits. Dalits who? Dalit Muslims, Dalit Christians, Dalit Sikhs, Dalit Buddhists?
Yes.
Or did you help people who needed help?
We need to address such points also. We need to address people who are in...
Ashok Gowda ji, JDS never did anything in the caste quota. You were just saying before Prasad Gowda ji joined that JDS increased and added more people in the caste quota and tried to...
Let me quote one example, Anand. See, what had happened is JDS, they said they will bring all the Valmikis into the ST quota. Agreed. Valmikis deserve to be in ST quota, but as well as they added Jenum Kurba and Kadu Kurbas into ST category. And they forgot, as per the today's census, 25 lakhs tribal people are there in Karnataka and 40 lakh Valmikis are there. And including the Jenu Kurba and Kadu Kurba, another 1.5 lakhs will be added. But what JDS did is, when the Janta Dala, during the Devegowda as a chief minister, they bought everybody and they forgot to increase the reservation quota from 3%. And that means that the entire population, which was almost around 7.7%, were fighting for the reservation only within 3%. This is the unscientific method Devegowda did. And Devegowda ji never realized that just by passing an order and I will get off the votes, and that is an appeasement politics without understanding how it should be done. And only it's a BJP party which will also do in social engineering and upbring every segment of the society as well as do the infrastructure development.
So then that means every party has decided that the only way forward is to play this caste game. Caste game, quota game is the only way you are going to get votes. So, George Kurian, no, 1 minute. George Kurian has not spoken. George Kurian, Siddaramaiah ji says 50% reservation. I'll add another 25%. I'll give you 75% reservation. Come on, sir. Is this the discourse?
Well, Anand, you have to take this statement from Siddaramaiah in the right spirit. Having said that, we all know that we can very well see the frustration and nervousness in the BJP camp, and it goes without saying that the Congress party works on an inclusive formula, and it's a progressive one, and it is going to deliver to its promises to the people of Karnataka. It believes in carrying everybody. It believes in carrying everybody along, be it the Lingas, the Vokkaligas, the SC, ST, OBC, and the Muslim minority and Christian community at large. So I strongly believe that it is nothing but radical.
So, but there itself your statement is divisive, isn't it, George Kurian? Sorry to interrupt you. You take the Muslims together in one grouping, Christians together in one grouping, but you divide the Hindus only on the names of caste. Wow.
Can I make my statement?
And then you say you are inclusive. Why? There are no sects or there are no castes within Christians. There are no castes within Muslims. There are no castes within Sikhs and Buddhists. Only Hindus are the ones where you will identify them as Lingayats, Vokkaligas and Kurubas. etc., etc.
Well, Anand,
but that's inclusive
as I said
politics.
Earlier, Congress party believes in a secular ideology. It believes in carrying every sections of the society together, and it's a progressive one. We all know, the kind of corruption that.
So then, why don't you name the Muslim caste? Why don't you name the caste within Muslims? Why don't you call out the caste separately among Christians and say this grouping we will give? Why don't you name Hindus together in one grouping? Why is the Hindu groupings broken down into different castes largely? Are there no Kurubas who are Christians? Are there no people in the Mangalore belt who are Christians but who still identify with their core caste?
Well, if required, the party will go into deep diving and find out the sub caste as you mentioned. But having said that, the Congress party is in a very good position at this point in time in all the 4 divisions of Karnataka.
If they were in such a very good position, why did Mr. Siddaramaiah have to say, I'm going to add 25% more into this entire quota system? Nalin Mehta.
So, the thing is that if you're going to remove caste quotas and you go up to 75%, then there is no end to that. There's a good reason why the Supreme Court has put a limit of 50%. There are 1 or 2 states that have crossed that, Tamil Nadu, for example, in the past. But there's good reason why now there is a new debate about caste all over the country. There is a caste census that Bihar government is doing. All of that is all part of that. But fundamentally, if we are going to go back to the past constantly, now I don't think we should remove caste quotas. But if you're going to keep increasing them fundamentally, then where does that leave meritocracy?
No, so everybody identifies with caste. See, and today, Nalin, you know how dangerous this discussion is becoming? Because on the one hand, the netas, when they come out in public and they are talking, they are speaking about breaking down Hindu faith into various castes. But they are grouping other faiths together. But when you go into the caste narrative itself, and what is being asked in the Supreme Court? In the Supreme Court, they are saying today Dalits are also Christians, Dalits are also Muslims, Dalits are also Sikhs. The Congress party in Punjab turned around and said that we have made a Dalit Sikh as a chief minister. And the same Lord goes out and says it is Hinduism and it is upper caste Brahminism which is turning around and going after Dalits who are being ostracized as part of Hindus. So you look at this double narrative which is being played. It's a dangerous double game. So in Gujarat, Telis can be Muslims. All right, Telis can. So then you identify them based on their caste grouping or their varna. Theologically leave them aside. But you can't play this game doubly, where you start. Yes, Prasad Gowda ji.
Yeah, sir, Mr. Ashok, when he spoke, during his comments, he made comments against...
Sir, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. Big development. Our Indians have come back home. First batch of Indians has touched down in Delhi. First flight carrying Indian nationals who were evacuated from Sudan has now landed in Delhi. Let's go straight across to Siddhant, who's joining us live from Terminal 3. So, is this the flight that is carrying 260 passengers, Siddhant?
This flight is carrying 360 passengers.
360?
Right at their... Yes. And right at their arrival, we are getting this confirmation from External Affairs Minister Jaishankar. He tweets the photograph and welcomed all these Indians who were stranded in Sudan and have been successfully evacuated. Now, right now, we are reporting outside gate number 5 of international arrivals on C3. And Anand, we have been told that in some time from now, the people are going to come out. And in fact, right now, they are with luggage. So they are near the belt. It's going to take some more minutes, and we can expect them out from this gate. And you can see the entire area has been cordoned off. Only CISF Jawans can be seen. Extra security has been deployed here. And also, MEA has requested resident commissioners of various states to be at the airport to receive their respective citizens and to make sure that they are going to take care of them, their stay and their traveling.
So, Siddhant, do we know from which states are these 360 passengers largely from? Do we know some of the states that they hail from? We're getting live visuals. We're getting visuals first here on CNN News 18.
Yeah.
Yes, Siddhant, go ahead.
Yes, Anand. I don't have the exact number, but what I can tell you after speaking to some people is that approximately 30 people are from Rajasthan. Then there are many from the state of Kerala and Karnataka. And in fact, I did meet the resident commissioner of Kerala. She was right here to receive those who are from the state of Kerala. So right now, there is some movement, Anand, which I can see here. And in fact, the CISF Jawans are requesting media to stand at a distance because in some time from now, we can see the arrival of evacuees from gate number 5 of the international arrivals here at Delhi airport. And it's a historic evacuation that has taken place, Anand. In fact, when I was speaking to a senior official in MEA, and I was told that for US also it was a very complicated situation. So imagine in such situation, India.
Mr. Muralidharan is still in Jeddah. He is going to be there unless each and everyone gets evacuated. So that is a task which has been given to him by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And we all are waiting for that moment when people are going to arrive. People are going to come out from gate number 5 of T3 from the international arrivals. Right now, on one end, we can see the media contingent. On the other end, we can see the CISF Jawans right here guarding this gate. Since there are a lot of people, those who have come to receive their near and dear ones, then there is a staff from various states to receive the evacuees. Then there are others also. So to make sure that proper security is in place, the CISF Jawans have been deployed here, and we can expect people from Sudan to come anytime from this gate. We are just waiting for them. We have been told that they are near the baggage belt, and they are collecting their luggage, and post that they are going to come out from this gate. Back to you, Anand.
Yes, live visuals of them coming back home. Ghar Wapsi from Sudan has begun. It's happening, and nearly 3,000 Indian citizens over the course of the next 2 or 3 days will be brought back home. It's a humongous effort, but the commitment of this government, and especially the Prime Minister, that every Indian will be taken care of irrespective of where they are. More than 7 nations have been spoken with, liaisoned with, and also special thanks going across to nations like the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Egypt for the influence they have exercised over these Sudanese warring groups to ensure the safety of Indian citizens, that they are moved out of the war-torn or the conflict-torn areas towards the ports, towards the airports, and then flown back from Jeddah into Delhi. And some of them are also en route in a ship. They're making their way. These numbers, they're all coming back home. The relief writ large on their faces, smiles on their faces. We will be getting you the reactions here on CNN News 18. But for the moment, winding up this edition of Brass Tacks. Thank you for watching. Namaste. And the driver. Someone has to be accountable. According to data provided by the CRPF earlier this year, incidents of violent Maoist attacks in Chhattisgarh dropped by 77% in 2022 compared to 2010, but the incidents of killings were increasing. Is the Chhattisgarh government ready for a return of red terror?
See, they are there. Nobody is denying that Naxalites are not present. When the state of Chhattisgarh was formed, we had, let us say, 5 battalions of paramilitary forces. Today, we have probably more than 60. We are aware that a large area has been sort of cleared or taken under control, though Naxalites could be just about anywhere. They could be in Delhi, they could be in Bhopal, they could be in Raipur, they could be in any city. They are not limited to any one track. But where the activities could have been seen as unchecked, those areas have been fairly limited now. And last, I talked to senior police officials while I was in Jagdalpur. They mentioned an area of, let us say, 40 by 100 kilometers that needed to be taken care of further. So it's a very difficult task, very difficult terrain, almost uninhabited, very difficult to deal with it, undulating forests and jungles and streams. Many of the areas are unapproachable. And in that, it is a process where gradually things are moving towards greater control of the state machinery. It's not as if they have the run of the ground, they can do whatever they want. It is not quite like that. Things have improved, but we need to go much further ahead where Naxal activity or their presence is eliminated. So we are a little distant still from there.
Mr. Tia Singh Dev, thank you for speaking with us and making the time here at CNN News 18. But there, like you said, there is a lot more that needs to be done. Ladies and gentlemen, the reality is that they need to get it right only once. Our security forces and the establishment has to get it right every single time. And another aspect, it's not at the line of control. It's not in Jammu and Kashmir. It's not at the line of actual control or LAC. It's not in the northeast. It's in these jungles. It's to red terror that we are losing the maximum number of soldiers, our jawans, our personnel. Now, shouldn't there be a stop to this? The big question. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former DG Infantry with us, Major General Dhruv Katoch, Director India Foundation, and PK Mishraji, former ADG BSF with us. Namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. It tears your heart to talk on the fact that we've lost 11 lives. We've lost people in the line of duty who are doing their jobs. But were they sitting ducks? Were they sitting ducks, PK Mishraji?
Yes, I can well tell you, definitely they were sitting ducks. You were just telling about violation of SOP. Of course, mistakes do happen, but mistakes have happened in Chhattisgarh several times. We have lost more than 150 Jawans only in Chhattisgarh. It may be Sukma, it may be Chittagopha, it may be Narayanpur, it may be Kanker, or it may be Bijapur. I have gone to this Jaram Ghati and Darba Ghati after both the incidents where Bichi Shukla was injured and that incident, and how they retreated to Malkangiri through Tulsi Dogri. Those areas also I have seen. Somebody who has gone to Bastar, then only they will come to know how difficult it is to control Bastar area. Yeah. It's very difficult for even one corps of army to control Bastar area. Definitely, development is taking place. But you cannot, like the state is telling, it's a law and order problem definitely of the state. But Naxalite problem, yes, it is not alone the law and order it is not a law and order problem, and it is not only with the state. Definitely it is a coordinating affair of both state and center and the intelligence group. They will act together. But the leading role should be taken by Chhattisgarh police itself. Like Punjab police, they took the leading role for wiping out the Khalistani commandos and everything, and Punjab it became quiet. So the same thing has to be done here. CPMMs are there in addition to them. The IRB battalions have to be trained. The local boys who are taken to DRGs, of course the DRGs who are local boys. But what about that training? We have got a training center in Kanker from army, and I hope Chhattisgarh police, they can be well trained in Kanker, and they have to come to the expectation. See, like Andhra and
cannot drop your guard.
They have done through Greyhound.
One cannot drop their guard at all. The Greyhounds are an example. They're but every time there is a slip up, there is carelessness, there is loss of lives. And Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, PK Mishraji, Dhruv Katochi, you are all veterans. You've handled explosives, especially, and you know how much explosive is required to get to blow up a road that is more than 10 feet wide, and to blow a hole in that road which is more than 3.5 to 4 feet deep. So Lieutenant General Kulkarni, for somebody to be able to sow that kind of explosives and plant them on that road, which is a tarred road. If you see the road, it's a tarred road on either side. But look at that crater. That's a lot of explosive that has been planted there. Yeah. 5 feet deep crater is what we are given to understand. General Kulkarni.
You know, what has happened is extremely sad. Something which is avoidable, because we have to have actionable end. Much that everything has been done at all levels. It's very easy to blame so and so should have done this, so and so. What happens is the people on the ground, the boys who are there, maybe the the DRG, which are the local tribals as it is brought out, who have been trained or not trained or partially trained into this kind of thing. A kind of complacency sets in. And even last time, if I recollect it, in 2010 or something, when in April, when we lost about 75, all when they returned back from operations, this is what happened. We have, until and unless we have good intelligence coming in, real, we have to have our eyes and ears everywhere, human end, technical end, kind of mobile tasks that are required to be there. The terrain is extremely, totally jungle. It's not easy. I understand it's not easy. That's the reason one has been there. But notwithstanding that, you find a lot has been done. At a point of time, there were 140 districts affected. They came down to 76. And now that we are just about 46 districts, and who's responsible for most of the 95% of the death and 90% of all of it is CPIM Maoists. These are the people who are involved into it. So it is a very small fraction and we have to keep a tag of it.
Let's go straight across to T.S. Singh Devji, Cabinet Minister, Chhattisgarh, joining us. Namaste. Thank you for speaking with us here at CNN News 18. My first question to you, Mr. Dev. Were these DRG personnel as good as sitting ducks? Only 10 of them deployed for an anti-Naxal operation.
Not really. As far as I know, though I'm not in Raipur, I'm not in Chhattisgarh today. I'm in Bhopal with my family. But the information that has come in that this blast took place at about 12:45 in the afternoon. After the group was returning from a exchange of fire with the Naxalites. There's about 45 kilometers south of Dantewada, which is the district headquarters. And it was a convoy of vehicles. This was not a single vehicle. There's not just 10 people. There were 10 people in the civilian vehicle, of course camouflaged, who were affected by the IED blast and who were martyred. 10 police personnel and 1 driver, civilian driver. All local boys, all district force boys, I think. All of them were tribal boys. And Yadav, I think, was the driver. So we lost these 11 people today, very sadly.
But these personnel were traveling in a vehicle instead of going on foot, Mr. Dev. They used the same route twice, which is again not the SOP. So why were the standard operating procedures not followed?
I am really not aware of the geographical terrain there. Were there other routes available? Were they not available? I am frankly not aware of that. And there are suggestions given in these SOPs that you could take another route, etc. But if there is one route going in and one route going out, you don't have an option. I am frankly not aware of that, so I cannot really speak authoritatively on that. And this is a tar road they were traveling on, a road which was tarred about 4 or 5 years back. They had gone by this route and they were returning by this route, which is true. And they could have used bikes, they could have been on foot, but any number of other operations.
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. The Sudan conflict rages on. As Indians and other nationals are being pulled out in daring rescue operations, a new threat has emerged. A biolab is caught in the crossfire. It has sensitive samples. They must be preserved in specific conditions. The World Health Organization has raised an alarm. The last time a biolab was compromised, it most likely led to a global pandemic. There's no saying what may happen this time. Meanwhile, India is preparing to deal with 2 hostile neighbors. Ministers from China and Pakistan will be visiting in the next few days for the SCO summit. We'll discuss what can be expected. In America, they're bracing for the kind of drama that nobody wants to see. It's Biden versus Trump, season 2. For all their talk of diversity and inclusion, it's 2 white old men fighting for the top job again. In Europe, Sweden and Norway are at odds after a Swedish rocket mistakenly hit Norway. In South Africa, the debate over the International Criminal Court is back. Should they stay or leave? Will they have to arrest Vladimir Putin if they stay? We'll explain. And how do you like the idea of eating crickets for protein? A mother uses it as baby food and it's got everyone talking. The headlines first. Xi Jinping finally speaks with Zelensky. It's the first time the presidents of China and Ukraine have spoken since the war began. China says Xi told Zelensky that talks are the only way out of the conflict, and Ukraine's president has called the conversation quote-unquote meaningful. US and South Korea up the optics war to counter North Korea. A US nuclear missile submarine will visit South Korea for the first time in decades. Such measures have not been seen since the height of the Cold War. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol is currently on a state visit to the US. An Iranian court orders US and its former presidents Obama and Bush to pay over $300 million. This is related to ISIS attacks in Tehran in 2017. The court has said that America played a major role in creating terrorist groups such as the ISIS. Deadly Naxal attack in the Indian state of Chhattisgarh. 10 policemen and their driver killed after their vehicle was blown up by explosives. The policemen were returning from an anti-Maoist operation. Singapore executes a man convicted of smuggling 1 kilo of cannabis. The Indian origin man was executed despite international outcry. He was 46 years old and sentenced to death in 2018. Last year, Singapore executed 11 people for drug-related cases. And the European Union is set to put greener aviation fuel in planes. Lawmakers have reached an agreement. A minimum 2% of sustainable aviation fuel will be used from 2025 and rise to 70% by 2050. The conflict in the Sudan has taken a dangerous turn. A biolab is caught in the crossfire. We are talking about the National Public Health Laboratory. Experts call it a potential germ bomb. That's because this lab